Mars conjunct Uranus in Taurus on the 15th, 16th of July. How do you handle chaos? You have to be open and flexible to change. You have to learn how to let go of fixed situations and go with the flow. So in this video, I'm going to talk about Mars-Uranus conjunction in Taurus, how to understand that in context to your own birth chart and what it could represent. And there is a broad spectrum of significations. So it's not one thing or another. It's a combination of all these things. It's going to really depend specifically, uniquely on you and your own unique journey, your path, your experience, your reality at this time. So it's not going to be the same for everyone. In fact, not all transits are the same. And that's because of what they're activating within your chart, as well as the houses that those transits are falling in, and what they're triggering by rulership as well. So it's a complex sort of process to delineate alignments like transits. So don't just sort of absorb what's happening out there in the social media land with regards to astrology and be like, oh my God, this hits my so-and-so, and that's going to mean this. Because we need to have a much deeper look within your energetics to really come to a personal delineation of what it could mean for you. So in this video, I'm going to give you a bit of a broad understanding and a big spectrum look at it. We're going to historically look at the Mars-Uranus conjunction, especially in Taurus, when it happened over the last few years, as well as the last time it happened at 26 degrees of Taurus. And that's a very significant degree, which I'll touch on shortly. We are then going to look at a particular example in my own life of a Mars-Uranus conjunction. And you may have heard this story before about when I met my fiance and how I saved her from a burning building, and it was a Mars-Uranus conjunction. So I want to talk a little bit of that, show you some charts, and we're also going to look at the US politics. Now, I'm not necessarily hinged my wagon to any particular side. I'm an observer in this process. I find it quite entertaining. But what I like to do is I like to look at the energetics through the astrology alignments in context to a lot of the power plays charts. So we're going to look at Donald Trump's, Joe Biden's, Kamala Harris, and Michael Obama in particular. We'll look at the US chart as well, just to see where this is activating that. Because with those four people in particular, this alignment is very personal. It's hitting their charts in a very personal way. So what could we expect? We're talking about Uranus, expect the unexpected. We're talking about Mars, expect a little bit of volatility. And Mars adds a little bit of fire to the mix. You know, if there is like you've ever had a bonfire and you've gotten everything ready and it's all there and it's ready to go, and then you flick the match. Mars alignments, especially to outer planets, can be that match. So it sort of ignites what that planet is representing. So you think the planet represents, in the case of Uranus, transformation and change, unexpected events, freedom, individuation, rebellion, insight, aha, epiphany, downloads. So Mars can ignite that. And Mars can bring a flavor of there's action involved in the change now. So it's not just on the cerebral level, it's not just thought about, it's actually action that happens because Mars ignites motion, planet of action, desire, motivation, aggression, conflict. So we got to add that sort of flavor to the mix here. So now that I've segued into that anyway, let's have a look at the delineations of these two particular planets. We'll start with Mars because, you know, Mars is the inner planet and moves fastest. Mars is going to retrograde later the end of this year. So we're going to have Mars in Leo and then Cancer and then back into Leo, spending about 6 months in a particular part of the sky in direct opposition through this period of time from November right through until about February, March, April next year. Mars is going to be sort of retrograding and directing across the sky from Pluto. So we can expect some big changes in power at the end of this year. And that really starts to come into play around November. So hence why I've sort of chosen to tie this alignment into some of the political components to the US, political system at the moment. When we think about Mars, we think about males and men. We think about masculinity. It is the planet of action. So whenever we're doing anything, we're doing it with our Mars. In your personal birth chart, how you go about taking action. your drive, what motivates you, the way in which you go about things, how you enter into conflict, how you engage in combativeness, how you strive towards your goals is going to be all indicated by your particular Mars. So what sign it's in, what house it's in, what aspects it's making. So it's really useful to have a look and at the personal story of your own Mars to get an idea of like, how do I work? What drives me? How do I get going? And or often too, sometimes when there's a lack of drive, excuse me, because I've just moved into a new unit in Broadbeach in Queensland, and on one side there's a high rise being built. Across the corner there's another high rise being built, and then 2 blocks that way there's another high rise being built. So there's a lot of work going on at the moment. And I moved pretty much on the Cancer new moon. My partner had come home from holidays, and we moved house on the same day. It was like, oh, Cancer new moon. Oh, okay, time to relocate. If we think about those qualities with regards to Mars, because Mars is the activator for this alignment at the moment, we're dealing with an outer planet, a slow-moving transformational generational planet. It's Uranus. Mars significations are going to add that flavor to what Uranus already represents. So, you could bring action into the Uranus type of change. You could bring action into the aha, the epiphany, the breakthrough, I've seen things in a different light. Uranus can sometimes be that crack of lightning that just gives us this insight. It's like this spark of divinity coming from the higher mind into the lower mind, and all of a sudden we get an idea. Uranus is often representing like the inventors, the future, things like in the distant future of like looking at how it is now and going, this is a better way to do things. So very inventive, very, eccentric in its expression as well, because it's individualistic. It's probably one of the most unique expressions of energy. It leads us towards individuating. So how do we become an individual? So Uranus types of change can come sudden and unexpected. Situations where we are stuck, where there's tension building because we're at a bit of a roadblock, we're holding on perhaps out of a bit of fear, or we're stuck in some sort of outdated obligation that we have, and tension builds, and then Uranus strikes, and the next thing, change occurs. Often the change is to bring about liberation and freedom. So bring about how's this going to play out? And then the Uranus energy hits, and it's like the lightning strikes and the change occurs. So when you add the Mars with the Uranus, you could see it could amplify that volatility with regards to that. So we could move from change to chaotic change to explosive change, like to ignite things and to go, whoa, what the hell? Where did that come from? What's going on? So in your own life, if you have planets at 26 degrees of Taurus or Scorpio or Leo or Aquarius, this alignment is going to activate whatever those planets are. So it's going to bring about some change. If you look at those particular planets and they represent relationship or work or health, we could expect some change in those areas. If you're resistant to change, if you're complacent, lazy, if you're holding on to what is and don't want to accept something new, the change can be chaotic. It can be a little overwhelming. It can be unexpected. It can be like, what happened? I had a Uranus moment. Mars was involved in this particular time, but it was a definite Uranus moment when I broke my back, which was going back in 2016. I was chopping a tree down and it landed on my back. I won't go into the details of that, but that was a very Mars-Uranus moment. There wasn't a conjunction, but the two planets were activating my ascendant at the time. So, I had an accident. And that's another signification of Mars that can bring into this is we have Uranus sudden unexpected events. Mars is often involved in accidents, especially accidents that involve in breaking things or cutting things or, that quality as well. So, always around a Mars-Uranus period of time, whether they're conjunct, square, opposite, we want to be mindful and cautious and just a little bit more careful than we normally are, because we could be a little rash and a little impulsive and put ourselves in a situation where we had an unexpected accident. Now, another interesting thing to add to the mix here to just sort of create a little bit more level of complexity is that 26 degrees of Taurus is where the fixed star Algol is, or Kaput Algol. So Kaput Algol is often referred to as either the evil one or the demon star. And this is a little excerpt from a book which states that this star relates to strangulation, beheading, danger to the throat and neck, murder, violence, the evil one, and it's very unfortunate. When there is a significant alignment on a fixed star, then often the qualities of that fixed star are given, I guess, like a pass in the sense of they can manifest quite literally here. Now that Kaput Algol is in the constellation Perseus, and I'll show you this picture here. This star is actually in the bright star in the Gorgon's head. So you can see here that Perseus has beheaded the Gorgon, and Kaput Algol is the star in the head of this Gorgon. So, things, accidents, when we bring Mars into the flavor of Uranus and sudden unexpected accidents, we could have accidents with regards to heads and beheading and throats, necks, all those types of injuries that can happen. So we're further reinforcing the need to just exercise a little bit of caution around the next week or so, especially the peak of 15th, 16th of July. Now, it's not about being anxious or alarmed. It's about being aware and being cautious. I should have taken my own advice when I jumped on the Lime bike and, had my accident and broke 10 bones. But sometimes accidents, look, if we look at the sort of significance, the symbolic meaning of an accident, it's like you aren't getting the message. You need some sort of shock to the system in order for you to become aware of something you need to change. Bang, an accident. Whether it's your own fault or someone else's, often we can look to the symbolic meaning of what that represents and go, okay, I need to make some changes, and now I have to, because look, this is what's happened, which was a big thing that happened to me with regards to what my injuries and everything like that. So I don't necessarily want you to think, oh my God, I'm going to have an accident, but I also want you to be aware that, if you're being a bit rash or impulsive, or you're not taking time to just sort of like discern, use a bit of critical awareness, then you could put yourself in a situation where your health and wellness might be compromised. So take care out there. This particular alignment with Mars and Uranus has happened already twice in Taurus. The last time it happened was in August of 2022. The time before that was in January of 2021. And this one happening on the 15th, 16th of July is going to be the last alignment of Mars and Uranus in Taurus. The next time Mars and Uranus come together will be in the sign of Gemini, and that's in a year or so from now. I think the end of 2025, 2026 is the next alignment. I said at the beginning, we'll talk about, a personal situation where I saved my partner from a burning bush. I'd not long met my partner, and I'd already previously done a reading for her, and I knew her astrological chart, and we were meeting up, and she wanted some Reiki. So prior to our meetup, I had a look at her chart, and I recognized, oh, this is an interesting alignment. You're going to have a Mars-Uranus conjunction on your natal Mars. I'm like, what's happening around the end of January? Because you want to just, exercise a bit of caution. This can relate to unexpected accidents. She's like, oh, I'm a professional skydiver, and I'm skydiving at the end of this month in an event. And I was like, She said, are you going to tell me not to skydive? And I said, no, 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 no. I'm not going to tell you what you should and shouldn't do. I'm going to tell you the weather. You decide if you want to take a raincoat, So she was like, okay. So we sort of looked and sat with the idea of the alignment and just said, look, it's the type of alignment that if you are intuitively inclined that something's up and you're thinking maybe this isn't a good idea, then act on your intuition and do something about that. If it doesn't feel right, if you're getting a bit of a gut sort of twinge and you think, then be cautious around this particular alignment, because if you're rash and impulsive, it can lead to unexpected accidents. So anyway, fast forward to the Reiki session that I did with her. And whilst I was in the Reiki session, there was spiritual presence that came through. I qualified who that was, and it was someone named Mark. And Mark then showed me her particular chart and the emphasis on another part of her chart, which was the 8th house. The 8th house is other people's energy. So as soon as I was like, oh, other people's energy, Mars Uranus accident, he was showing me whoever Mark was showing me in this Reiki session, it's not my partner, Mariska, having an accident. It's someone else having an accident, and she is in harm's way. So that information came through very clearly in this session. And what I did was I came out and I said, well, you know how I said, I'm not going to tell you whether you should do something or not. I said, someone here, I said in spirit by the name of Mark. And she said, oh, yeah, that's my brother. He passed away a few months earlier. I said, well, Mark's here, and Mark showed me your chart, and he's concerned that it's not you having an accident. It's someone else that you put your trust in that has an accident, and you're in harm's way. And she said, really? And I said, yeah. And I said, not only that, he gave me specific dates, sort of from the 15th to the end of January. And she sort of sat with that and was like, oh, okay. And she went away and she spoke to some friends, and I saw her the next day. And she said, oh, look, you'll be pleased to know that I've cancelled that event based on what came through. And I sat with it and I thought it's just probably not right. It's better to exercise a bit of caution. Plus, now that I have that information, I might take that in and also, manifest the thing I don't want. So she said, I've just decided to not partake in it. I said, that's probably the smart thing to do. Fast forward to the day after the event, I think the day of the event, and one of her friends who was at the event messaged her and said, your prophecy came true. And what had happened was there was a big group of skydivers, and one of them had left the plane a little bit late and had to catch up to the group. And as he was catching up to the group, his speed was a little bit too fast. There was sunlight coming through and he couldn't see a particular person. He came through at a very fast speed, didn't brake check in time, and hit his leg on the back of the head of another skydiver. And when he hit his leg, the skydiver got knocked unconscious, out cold, split the back of his head open. The guy whose leg hit him, he broke his femur, compound femur, I think in two places. So it was a pretty high-speed collision. The guy who passed out, he went to the ground, and they get to a certain level and their safety activation device fires if they don't pull the cord. So it went off just before he landed on the ground. And then the other guy, he tracked off and, he landed, but obviously with the broken leg. Now, the guy that's head became unconscious, he came to once he landed, and he was okay. He was just unconscious and he had a gash in the back of his head. He had a helmet on and everything like that. But he was a really heavy set ex-UFC type fighter. So he's like a really strong, thick neck, really strong, muscular guy. And they'd said that if it had been anyone else, it probably would have broke their neck on impact. And that was the event that my partner was going to be at. So that gives you a very literal, sort of example of a Mars-Uranus alignment and how it can represent sudden and unexpected accidents. And that was very personal to me. So we're now engaged, in the love of my life. We're going to, spend our life together. And I often, when people ask me, how did you guys meet? I sort of say, well, I kind of saved her from a burning building. But, if it hadn't have been from the spiritual connection to her deceased brother, maybe there'd be a different story. But he came through very clear. And I think that's the reason he did, because he had a message to say, look, she can't go. She's going to be in danger. Now, moving forward, we'll finish this little video on Mars-Uranus conjunct in Taurus with a look at the political charts of Donald Trump, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and Michael Obama. This alignment is in Donald Trump's 10th house. So 10th house is his career or his public reputation. And this alignment is directly square to his natal Mars. So that could represent some sort of political attack on Donald Trump, maybe literal, maybe physical, maybe there's an attempt, like an assassination attempt, or maybe there's just some big volatile changes happening in his political public life that really cause a bit of a change to his direction or the way he's going to go about things. So that's a pretty profound alignment to square the natal Mars. So we obviously be just watching the news to see what unfolds in relation to this. If we look at Joe Biden, if it's the real Joe Biden or not, obviously this is the chart that we have for Joe Biden, so we just go with what we know. You'll see that this particular alignment is coming from his 6th house. Now, the 6th house is the people he works with. 10th house is your public reputation, your career, but the 6th house, when it comes to work, this is like who you're working with. So you could sort of say that the 6th house is all the people, maybe all the other Democrats, maybe all the people that are pulling his strings from behind the scenes. That would be the 6th house. So this alignment is in his 6th house, and it is directly opposite his sun. So it's like, okay, this is going to be very personal for Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Is this going to be a bit of a turning point for Joe Biden? Is there going to be a bit of a political assassination from within? A bit of a tap on the shoulder to say, see you later, Grandpa. Interesting. Then we go into Kamala Harris because she's the VP, right? So if you think if Biden's out of the way, then Kamala's got to be the next pick. But this alignment is happening from our 8th house of transformation, death, rebirth, change, irrevocable change. And it is in conjunct her sun in her 1st house. There's separation happening here. There's a letting go. There's letting go of something. So it's not necessarily the alignment that I would look for that is going to elevate her into a position of authority or power. I think it could be the opposite. So that's significant. We look to those 3 people, and this alignment is hitting all their charts very personally. Then we go to Michael Obama. And I was like, what, you can't make this up. So Michael Obama, it's happening from her. I know people out there are going to be triggered. He's a man. So let's just get that clear. It's not Michelle, it's Michael. Even Barack Obama, many, many, many times, has the Freudian slip and refers to Michelle as Michael. He's done it on numerous occasions. There's video out there that you can watch of Michael Obama, and it looks like she's not strapped her appendage down, and you can see it bouncing around. It's pretty well known. Joan Rivers, before she was assassinated by the Hillarys or the Obamas, she quite clearly came out and stated that we have the first gay president with Barack Obama because Michelle's a man.
Do you think that the country will see the United States will see the first gay president or the first woman president?
We already have it with Obama, so let's just calm down.
Got it.
You know, Michelle is a trans.
I'm sorry, she's a what?
A transgender. We all know.
Oh my gosh.
Oh gosh. It's okay.
So this is if this is new to you, like I'm the person to break it to, like don't shoot the messenger. I know I'm a Virgo with Mercury, right, as my ruler, and I am the messenger, but don't shoot the messenger. This is just, it's pretty well known. But if we look at her chart, this is happening from her 1st house. Again, personal. This is her, him, whoever that is. I got nothing against transgender, but like, if you're going to be the president of the free world, you kind of know, like, you're not really a woman. That's probably information we should know. It's trine to her natal sun and midheaven, directly trine. The trine is an aspect of a free flow of energy, the removal of obstacles and fast, quick things happening. Her sun being conjunct her midheaven, she's destined for a public life. Now, I know she's had one, but she's had one in the shadows of Barack. Is this her elevation, sudden and unexpected elevation to, political power? Watch this space. I would say that the middle of this month is going to be a little bit like popcorn time. Whoa, 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 what's going on? Again, the outcome of this, and whether it's a circus and real or not, I just observe. I don't, I'm entertained, but I don't involve myself too much. I don't get polarized or attached to any of it. I just look at it as entertainment only. So I encourage you to do the same. So to recap on this video, planets at 26 degrees of Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, and Aquarius are going to be activated by this Mars-Uranus conjunction. In fact, any planet at 26 degrees of any sign in your birth chart is going to be activated by an alignment or an aspect. If you would like some further personal guidance onto exactly how to navigate this time, or that you've got stuff going on and you want to make changes but you're not sure how, then tune in and we can really look at the blueprint and look at all of the different overlays and give you some personal guidance. It can represent a flash of insight that causes new action, like a flash of insight that causes you to take new action, to do something differently. It can represent a sudden and unexpected change or event or a flashpoint or something explosive that's like, whoa, where did that come from? What the hell's going on? It's acute in the sense that it's represents some lasting change, but it's going to be a flashpoint, like a real peak, and then it'll die down again. So it's not something that's sort of long and drawn out. It's going to be like, whoa, that's what it was, and then we sort of move on from it and go through the integration process. It can mean sudden unexpected accidents. Literally, you can have a sudden unexpected accident. We've got to be mindful of accidents when we're dealing with Mars, the sharp objects and instruments and blood. So there can be cutting of the surface of the skin. And then because it's in Taurus, we're looking at this area here. It's on Kaput Algol, the demon star, the evil one. Relates to decapitation, injuries to the neck, murder, violent crime. It's known as Devil Star. So yeah, let's just exercise a little bit of caution. Awareness is key. Awareness is key. So be aware, be open and flexible to change, be able to let go of fixed situations and go with the flow. I'm Luke Balk from Astro Awakening. If you've liked this video, hit this one, share it around, drop a comment, and I'll see you next time. Peace out. Balloons. Cue the balloons. Fucking balloons.